that I have not really gotten around to because I kind of want to have more of a think about this film. Like, usually when I've seen reviews of this film, like people just walking out of the cinema and just saying it's a masterpiece, better than anything out there, and other people walking out the film thinking it's a raving pile of crap because they don't exactly get it because there's no giant portal in the sky and no purple guys with golden gloves. But honestly, I just wanted to wait a while to actually think of a proper opinion for this film, because walking out of it, I felt sort of strange, not really like shocked or scared or anything, just sort of like, it's the type of thing where like you see, it's hard to explain, like you see like a drawing or like fan art of like a character, like what they used to do, like what I saw ages ago on online of this guy that drew a classic cartoon and Disney characters as like horrific monsters. It's kind of like that sort of feeling, sort of like loss of innocence in a way. Like, from all the stuff we've seen of Joker so far, they haven't really revealed a lot of the sort of darker aspects of the film, dealing with a lot of serious mental health issues, involving murderous rages and a lot of political drama. That's sort of how I felt walking out of this film, and I didn't really know what to think. Sure, I did really love it. I loved every second of it. It did sort of drag in the middle, though. I'd say, spoilers by the way for this review, but I would say from the scene where you see the main character, Arthur Fleck, or Joker, obviously played by Joaquin Phoenix, who, let's just get out of the way, he is perfect for this role. Ever since Suicide Squad came out ages ago, I wanted to like Jared Leto's Joker so much, just because I love the character. Like, I'm the biggest Joker fan I know. But when I soon realised how much I did not like that version of the character, it just sort of let me down. And like the next thing that came up, I had huge expectations. I don't really count Gotham in this situation, considering that officially isn't the Joker. It's officially, unofficially the Joker. But that sort of fueled the void. Like, he was alright, but still nothing compared to this new version. You can definitely see a full-blown transformation from seeing his mannerisms and facial movements at the beginning of the film, where he's really depressed and let down. It's sort of like he's dragging himself through life, literally, in the way he moves. Everything is sort of like crooked and saggy, but when he becomes Joker, he's very upright, very sort of showman-like, like he's putting on a big show. Hard to explain, very sort of flamboyant in a way, which I love, because that really suits Joker's personality a lot. The whole point of the Joker is he's putting on a show, and Gotham's his stage and Batman's his audience, really, but you can't really do this in the film, considering Batman isn't really in it. But we do have young Bruce Wayne, who's played by that weird kid from Happy, but yeah. Even his look has grown on me a lot. Like, when I first saw it, and they did that, Todd Phillips uploaded something to Instagram, I think, where it showed makeup tests, you know, of Arthur just standing there whilst music's playing and zooming in, and you see, like, flashes of the Joker makeup throughout the thing. I'll put a link to the video in the description. Yeah, ever since that, and I first saw it, I really, really hated it. Mainly because I didn't really get a full view of the suit. I actually thought it was, like, sequined. Sort of like this patches of orange and red all over the suit instead of being one, like, consistent thing. And the makeup I didn't really like. I felt like it was a bit too generic clown-like. Like something out of It, or like one of those crappy, like, direct-to-DVD schlock films that you see on Tesco for £5. You know, that type of stuff. And I really hated the design at first, but after I actually saw it in motion, when I saw the makeup sort of more smudged, and you saw one of the diamonds go down into like a tear-like form, it really grew on me. It looks amazing. His suit looks perfect. From the colours and the way it's presented, they didn't go overboard like what they did in the Injustice design, but they didn't put it too simple like what they did in the Dark Knight version, and they didn't go so directly weird and out there with the design to the point where it looks nothing like the Joker, like what they did with the Jared Leto version. But this version, it just looks so good. It looks ripped directly out of, not exactly the comics, it's much more of like a realistic type of thing. Like, he has no giant bow tie or flower that squirts acid or anything. This Joker doesn't use like toxic chemicals or like joke gags to kill people, which I do really like that version of the Joker. It's just, this version seems much more real and raw. He doesn't like poison people with gas, he stabs them to death, and he doesn't like blow up people with cartoonish bombs. He shoots them in the skull, which this gives it that sort of raw edge that I miss from the Dark Knight films. Like, the Dark Knight films, sure, they are fantastic, but honestly, I'm not really a big fan in retrospective of those films. So yeah, sorry I ran out of air battery from the film, but as I was saying, looking back at the Christopher Nolan films, not really a huge fan of them. Like, particularly, I do really love The Dark Knight as a film, but I feel like it's very overrated, because when people say they love The Dark Knight, they really love the Joker in that film. Like when people say, I prefer DC to Marvel, no you really don't. You just prefer Batman and maybe 2 other characters to whatever is going on in Marvel. Sorry if my voice seems very, sort of, yeah, one second. Sorry, I had to sneeze, but yeah, sorry if my voice sounds very sick. Yeah, I've come down with a cold recently. Oh crap, I'm going to sneeze again. Oh Jesus, sorry about that. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. I feel like the Dark Knight films are really good films, but they're good for their time, but nowadays they don't exactly hold up very well. Like, Christian Bale's voice is just ridiculous. The costume in the first film just doesn't look as good as the one in the later films, and the story's a bit generic when you actually get deep into it. But they are overall, I still really do like them, but that's not the point. I'm not reviewing The Dark Knight, I'm reviewing Joker, and I realise I have to stay on topic because I ramble too much. I'm going to end up talking about how Captain Marvel's trash or whatever. Another film I really love about this film is just the cinematography and the score that's accompanied with it. The fact that the more Arthur descends into becoming the Joker and going insane, the deeper and more sadistic music goes. Like, the film starts off with this very like happy piano tune that's being played as he's spinning a sign outside of his music store, I believe. And it ends with this sort of like really dark and bombastic music that sounds like something out of a horror film, which I really love. It's sort of like the music and the cinematography goes along with him into his deep descent into madness, because it isn't like Lee Bermejo and Batman as well as Joker, where Joker's story is told through the eyes of someone else. This is shown through his story. The things that you see and how he reacts to things are the things that you sort of like put into his shoes in a way. It's hard to explain. Like, for example, it's established early in the film that Arthur, the main character, Joker, of course, has hallucinations when he's watching a TV show. He sort of imagines himself in the scenario of the show. It isn't really a talk show, it's more of like a TV show, and it's like everything's really going his way. Like, everything's going perfect for him in that hallucination. Like, inside of his head, his life's perfect, but outside in the real world, it's like not. With for example, the character of Sophie, who's Arthur's love interest of the film, where they talk once in an elevator, and throughout the film you sort of see them grow a relationship, of course. But obviously Joker can't be happy for more than 2 seconds, and it's revealed that really the dates that they went on and all this interaction and stuff was really a hallucination inside of his head, trying to grasp a normal life, when really it's just something that he wants instead of something that's actually happening, if that makes any sense in a way. And back to the cinematography, I love, like, similar to the score, it gets sort of happier as the film goes on, but in sort of like a sadistic sense, where the film starts off with very bleak blue and dark colours, but then goes on to a much more lighter and bombastic shade of colours when he becomes the Joker. Like, it's at day mainly, and everything's all like bright, when with all the clown colours and such. Sort of showing how he's growing as a person, going into this psychopath who he really is. And I know I'm sort of rambling with this review, but it's my honest thoughts of what I'm trying to gather from this film, and I've been putting this review off. Like, the film came out a week ago, and so yeah, instead of it chapter 2, where I just walked out the film, got back home, grabbed my camera and started recording, because I wanted to get my honest thoughts out there. Another thing, thank you for the support that I've gotten through my 2 most recent videos that aren't Dead by Daylight live streams, the Joker trailer talk and the It Chapter 2 review, because they have gotten amazing views and likes and support, which I really love. Yeah, just giving the thanks out there. But yeah, I just wanted to have time to think about this film and what I actually think is happening. Like some stuff, I do have some of my theories about how what's real and what's not. Like for example, one of Arthur's co-workers, Randall, gives him a gun to protect himself after he's mugged in the alleyways. I have a feeling and a suspicion that actually happened in his mind, and maybe he already owned the gun or he went to go buy the gun. I like to think that maybe the gun is something that he actually already had or bought afterwards. He just wanted to think of an excuse with the gun, and that's why Randall acts in such like a more realistic way. Like instead of feeling guilty or trying to act innocent, he's actually genuinely confused by what he's saying, because after Arthur's fired for dropping his gun in the middle of a children's hospital party when he's doing his clown job, he gets fired and blames Randall for giving him the gun in the first place, when really, in my opinion, I don't really think that actually happened. I think that just played out in his head because he needs an excuse for all of his actions. Like, he's not blaming himself for what's happening in his life, like all the tragedies. He's not blaming himself, he's blaming it on other people, which is actually really reminiscent of the Joker, because the Joker is supposed to be this really narcissistic character that views himself as perfection, and that's the type of thing the Joker would do. Like when you hear about people convincing themselves that a lie is true just so it helps their cause in a way. So that's all I've really got to say about Joker. I highly suggest this film. The only complaint I would have, that the film drags on near the beginning. Not near the beginning, like in the middle. Like, I'd say from the part where Arthur gets fired to the part where he kills his mother in the hospital. In between that, it sort of drags a little bit. Like, there's not really much happening. It's just Arthur talking and having phone calls with people and stuff. Which, it's okay, I guess. This film isn't exactly a big Marvel film with comedy here and there and giant special effects spectacles. It's much more of a Taxi Driver, Scorsese-inspired film. With very sort of slow character studies instead of like big brawling action sequences, which I do like Marvel films. I was actually planning on doing a review of Endgame ages ago, but didn't really want to do it. But overall, about this film, what I'll complain is film drags a bit and some of the characters aren't actually fully developed. For example, we don't really get to see much of real Sophie, or maybe Franklin. He gets to see a couple of scenes, but mainly with Arthur, you don't really get to see him by himself. But overall, I give this film a solid 9.5 out of 10. I would highly recommend this film as soon as you can. Like, if you're thinking, I'm just going to wait till like later in the month or when it comes out on DVD to watch it, no, I highly suggest you spend your money on this film, because it is worth the 2 hours and 2 minutes in the cinema with a guy viciously eating sweets next to you. So 9.5 out of 10. I highly recommend this film. That has been my review of Joker, and see you later. Take care.